friends, and welcome to today's Harmonics, lovingly brought to you by Quantum Play Studios. We are your hosts. I am Aria, and this is Rachel Z.
Yes, this is Rachel Z.
Today we are playing as Zatanna and Zatanna in the, what did you call this?
It is the Zatanna and Zatanna Magic Show.
The Z and Z Magic Show, if you will, for short.
The Z's.
The Z's. So for those of you who are less familiar, and as everyone is joining in, hi guys.
Hello, welcome. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show. So Zatanna is a character from DC Comics. She is the illusionist and sorceress. Mm-hmm. So Rachel and I are playing today as different versions of Zatanna.
Yes.
So Rachel or Zatanna, who are you playing as? Which Zatanna are you playing as?
So as we have, oh my goodness, we have decided we can have co-hosts in the future, perhaps.
Yes.
But as far as it goes, my version of Zatanna is from the future. I'm from a cosmic timeline. So I'm from Earth 88.
Earth 88, amazing.
Yes.
Well, I am Zatanna from Young Justice, which is, in my opinion, the best Zatanna.
Oh my gosh, you have you have a lot of fans actually of Young Justice on this as well. So people are big fans of Nightwing. They're big fans of the whole team. Yeah,
they're the best.
Do you want to let everyone in on Young Justice as a premise?
Oh, it's Young Justice is an animated show. I don't even know where you can watch it these days.
YouTube. You can get clips on YouTube.
I suppose you can
yes.
But I highly, highly recommend watching all 5 seasons that are out. It is so great. The premise of it is, it's a little bit, it parallels a bit to Teen Titans. Mm. It has, Artemis, Ms. Martian, Zatanna certainly, Rocket, Dick Grayson as Robin, and then he grows up into Nightwing and Superboy.
So they actually have Dick Grayson turning into Nightwing within Young Justice?
Yeah, he's Robin. In the first season, he's Robin, and he's like 13. And then in the second season, they're like 15, and he's already Nightwing.
Okay.
And yeah, it has like Beast Boy and a whole bunch of other things, but it actually plays out, the part that we love about comics, it plays out some of those nuances with these younger characters, including the pushback to their older authority figures.
Yes.
So with Zatanna, there's the pushback with her dad, Zatara.
Yes. Zatara. Yes. So we can get into the reason why I love Zatanna. You guys know me as Zatanna. I debuted her last week, I think a couple weeks ago, as her relationship with Constantine. And she has quite a few significant relationships in her storyline, in her character development. And a big one is her father, who is also a great magician. And so I relate to Zatanna because my father being in computer science, and you guys know this, in terms of technology and code and speaking in code, that's a bit of magic too, because language and words are magic. Mm-hmm. And Zatanna speaks backwards. She also has a notebook from her great-great-great-great-grandfather, Leonardo da Vinci. And so she references this notebook as I love the idea of this lineage and how magic transpires through family and just these stories of the past and your ancestors and how that then expresses in you. So
yeah, and one of our ancestors is also the great French alchemist, Nicolas Flamel.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so
I'm not as familiar with that ancestor, but yes.
So Zatanna has a lot of books and original alchemy spells and the ability to, turn lead into gold, or turn something into an illusion.
Yes.
Because she starts off as an illusionist, right?
Yes.
Which is, I think,
so,
where you come from.
Yes. So I'm dressed, as you can see, we're different versions of Zatanna.
We are.
And I'm her classical magician stage self, right? Because Zatanna was an illusionist, a magician, before she actually realized that she had magical powers. Hey, Voice of One, welcome. He's a regular. And he also lives in a very energetic part of Ontario that has ley lines and energy centers. And so as far as us talking about magic, about where we are in time space, yes, we are good. We are good. This is, we are Zatanna and Zatanna.
Yes, we are.
Yes. But going back to, what was I saying? Magic in general. And basically the idea of magicians and illusionists, although I have a quote from Merlin, the old TV show, where there's a I don't know if you're familiar with it. Sam Neill played Merlin.
Oh, I love that Merlin. That is such a good Merlin.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, good.
That is such a good Merlin.
Okay, so there's a scene in Merlin where he's talking to his lady love, and they're looking up at the full moon, and they're talking about magic, right? Oh, the little hearts. Thank you. Hello. Okay, so then,
hello. Hi back.
hello. Okay, so he's looking at the full moon, right? And Merlin, and you guys know Merlin. He's actually a character in Marvel as well.
He is.
And he plucks the full moon down, and he brings it to her, right? And she's like, "Oh my gosh!" She's like, "Magic is real," and he's like, "Magic is real." And he makes it go away, and he says, but that was just a trick.
Yeah, because the moon is actually up in the sky in the very next clip.
Yeah, exactly. So it's this idea that those who practice real magic also are aware of the trick and the illusion, because there is, just like in fiction, there's truth in all of the lies that fiction is, right? There's truth in the illusion as well. So,
and this is how like Neo can bend the Matrix in the Matrix.
Yes, you got it.
Right.
Yes.
But you were telling us about your relationship with Zatanna, our dad.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So he also speaks backwards, is a great magician. And the relationship between the two is also this idea of walking two worlds as well, right? Because my mother is a homo magi.
Yes.
Let's call her an elf.
Yeah.
So this idea of walking two worlds, and then having a father who is a very powerful magician in his own right, but then also not being aware that you also have this. So,
well, from what I remember, Zatanna's mother dies, and like she grows up thinking her mother has died, and in much later as an adult, she then realizes who her mother
she truly is.
Right.
Yes.
So I remember them going through this like sadness around like the mother dying and all of the stuff, which made father and daughter a lot closer.
Yes.
Which is also like an interesting aspect. I think.
In Young Justice, I'm not familiar. So my understanding of Zatanna and her father is that there's a point in time where she doesn't know where he is. He's like captured, and she has to go on this mission to go get him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there's a storyline that has to do with that. And then this idea of, I guess, grappling with the fact that like she's trying to be her own magician, knowing that her father is.
Okay.
Once they like get him, but I don't really.
So she saves her father, basically.
Essentially, yeah. Okay. But she doesn't really have a relationship with him in the comic books I've read.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you could let us in on how our relationship is back in the day in Young Justice.
Yeah.
Foggy memory.
Back in the day when we are younger, i.e. me, so they have a really cute relationship, but he is, because his wife has died, was Zatanna's mother, he is a bit overprotective. So he doesn't let her play with the other progenies that are coming up and are around the same age. So she has like a couple of play dates with them. She's really like chill. She, everyone else is figuring out the edges of their power. She kind of already knows hers. She studies the words. She's a really good student, but she gets the group into trouble because they basically are told to, stay put, kids. And she's like, let's go explore. And then obviously something happens. And then Zatanna, her dad, like just bans her for like a whole season. She's not in Young Justice
not allowed to be.
because she's not allowed to play.
Okay.
But then, what the really big angle here is the Dr. Fate and the Helmet of Fate angle, which I don't think is in the adult Zatanna.
It's not. But before you get into that, Zatanna, it's ironic. It's kind of interesting that they don't really include Zatanna in a lot of the Batman stories.
Yeah, I mean, why?
Because she literally grows up like next to Arkham Asylum.
Right. And Zatanna and Batman
they do a lot of
stuff
together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's just interesting that she hasn't really been expressed in any of like the Gotham lore. So
in Young Justice, she makes out with Dick Grayson when he's Robin.
You guys know how much I love Dick Grayson. I love him.
I made out with Robin. No, so we were talking about, so Dr. Fate. So for those of you who are less familiar with Young Justice, you may be familiar with Dr. Fate as a character. He has this golden helmet called the Helmet of Fate.
Okay.
Now, Dr. Fate is interesting because he is something called a Lord of Order. Lords of Orders and Lords of Chaos are these seventh dimensional beings that manifest on Earth.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
That was going to be my question.
Okay, so they manifest on Earth, but they need a human host. Both of them. The Lord of Chaos, whose name is Clarion, is basically the magical evil person in Young Justice.
Okay.
And then Dr. Fate, using the body of someone, can get to fight him. And so one of the weapons of Dr. Fate, which we often see, is the Ankh of Isis. And
it gets spicy now.
It gets spicy now. And so one of the situations that happens is Clarion, the Lord of Chaos, and a bunch of other of DC's like sorcerers, they split the world, kind of like what Scarlet Witch did after around like the House of M timeline. So Clarion splits the world into children under the age of 18 and adults.
Oh,
so
I remember this.
Yeah,
I
so basically there's no adults in the
Okay.
children's world where all the Young Justice people are, and the adults are all here, and they've lost their children, they've lost their adults. So the kids, gather together, the older ones take care of the younger ones, and the adults are
kids are
just
good
like
like
fun.
that.
Kids are great, right? Like they know exactly how to
that's like
play.
your inner child knows exactly.
Your
what
inner
to do.
child knows what's up. The adults are like blaming the politicians and blah, blah, blah. But so Zatanna is here and Zatara is here. So both of them they don't know what's actually happening, but they know magic is involved. So they both grab the helmet of fate, but they don't actually want to wear it. Once you wear it, the Lord of Order takes over. His name is Nabu. He takes over and then he doesn't let your body go and you can't take off the helmet. It's like a bit weird. Yes. So you're in this prison of power, kind of. So what happens
always
is to
a
bring,
cost, isn't
there's
there?
always a cost, and it's a big cost.
You always got to be careful of deals too, and putting things on. You don't know if you're going to be able to get them off.
And being desperate, right? Like this is a desperate situation.
Yeah.
The worlds are split. So while they're battling like all the evil sorcerers. Oh my God, that's amazing. So they both
Just to accent your story.
Yeah, thank you. They both don the helmet of faith, father and daughter, in their different worlds. And then they both say the same incantation to repair the world and bring it back together.
I love that.
But because she is younger and more powerful, Dr. Fate stays with her and does not give her body up. So Zatara makes a trade. The father makes a trade and he's like, take me instead. Let my daughter have her life. She's young. I'm at the peak. And so Zatanna loses her father, kind of like the way you're saying, but loses her father to Dr. Fate. He's still there. Zatara is still in Dr. Fate.
I was gonna say, but what is that relationship of holding that like
Once-
entity and like you, the host, right?
It takes a toll on Zatara because once a year they get an evening together, father and daughter, where Nabu allows him to remove the mask, and like in 2 seasons he ages a lot because it takes so much toll
out of him.
and he didn't want his daughter to go through that. So that's their relationship. So she values, like, Zatanna is super loyal. She actually does join Young Justice once all of this happens, but she crafts her own path, and she is, I think, one of the first or one of the youngest Young Justice members to actually make it onto the Justice League and like fight alongside alongside her father, basically, but who is Dr. Fate.
As Dr. Fate.
Exactly.
Yeah, but like, so like her father, but not really her father.
Exactly. Like he's always like in there. But my favorite thing, what?
One says, I have very comic book literate people.
Oh,
in my
amazing.
chat. So he says that I never knew there was so much lore. I only knew her from Crisis.
Yo.
Crisis and
Yes.
Constantine.
Yeah.
A Little Justice Society.
Yeah, and I think
It's
that's
like,
more.
That is not comic accurate. Yeah, no, it's not comic accurate. I've never read that storyline as per the comics, but it's interesting how, like, I love that concept.
Yeah,
of
it's a lovely, and they've done it in a really interesting way in Young Justice. I mean, like, I love Greg Weisman, so like he could do no wrong with his comic stuff. But I love, so at one point, and this is the last thing I'll say about Zatanna and Young Justice. So at one point, so Blue Beetle, who we were talking about earlier, which is like the whole psyop, mind-controlled thing. So
Blue Beetle, you guys know from Multiversity, Blue Beetle's actually works for the government. He's like a government superhero that the government's using to try to, like, make themselves seem like
Oh,
good
it's
people.
worse in Young Justice.
Yeah.
He works for like Lex Luthor, and then he works for this like alien agency that's secretly trying to like
that is so much worse.
Oh, it's so much worse. But the problem is Jaime has lost sovereignty, and the scarab is actually the programmed scarab is controlling him, and so Zatanna figures out something is off because this is alien tech, and she traps him in an ancient temple of Isis in Egypt, and then she reconstructs the temple, invokes the goddess Isis, and returns sovereignty to Jaime, like to the person, to the human, rather than the scarab, and that is how the entire thing is broken. That arc blew my mind.
I love that that's in a comic book. I love that that's there.
In a comic book.
I feel like to Zatanna, like that. Yeah, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that storyline. I do know that, like, as far as like ancient goddess temples go, this is a side note, and this is not DC. This is Marvel. But in Marvel, there's a series of comic books with Spider-Man. Oh, look, there's people being like, oh my gosh.
I know, because
mind blown, right?
Mind blown.
But Spider-Man has a series of comic books where it's like a fusion of him and Indiana Jones.
Oh, I have heard of these.
Yes, and it's like kind of like he's like in a noir outfit, wearing like an indie hat, and he goes
Into the Multiverse has a character that is like that, like a side character.
Okay, so this is
a
a version of Spider-Man because like just like here, you have multiple versions of that character, and they can all play together. You don't need to be so like, oh my god, that's not this, it's not that. That's why you have a multi. Yeah, it's a multi-malleable co-creation of all of these like energies.
Exactly.
Right? And Zatanna, as a magician, a wielder of magic, dealing with also goddess energy, and that connection is, I think, significant, right? And so if we look at that Spider-Man, he goes on this expedition, and he finds the Temple of Inanna. And within the Temple of Inanna is the Macrob crystal. And this Macrob crystal contains within it the white hot room, which all of the Phoenix Force hosts live. Like anyone who's ever connected with the Phoenix, a part of their consciousness exists within this Macrob crystal. Because you are always, like, time is not... Is that Noir Spider-Man? Yes, Noir Spider-Man. Yeah, like it's like film noir, Indiana Jones, spy kind of thing, and he's going on a like expedition. So it's kind of like that vibe, and I need to get that comic book. Find it, and
that is such a great comic book. But more importantly, I heard a rumor. Oh, that you made out with Bruce Wayne with Batman.
I made out with a lot of people.
What? I am so proud of my older self.
Oh, yes. So
tell me all.
I'm the older Zatanna in this play, right? So I'm from Earth 88. And I've come back to send you a message. Young me, young Z,
tell me.
Zatanna.
In part.
I'm here to tell you to ensure to keep your heart open and have the relationships that you need to have. Because there are many of them. Yes. And so yes, Bruce Wayne is one of them, and I do think it is because
he's so stuffy.
He is stuffy, but I give him the magic stuff. the magic box. Hello. Oh yes. Beautifuls who love to talk about comics. See, I told you there are other friends of mine who like comics too.
Oh my god, so much like.
Yes. And Voice of One, thank you for putting me in touch with Catwoman. There's this Catwoman girl who does a phenomenal Catwoman cosplay.
Oh,
and so
amazing.
I need to have some sort of collaboration.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I'm very new to cosplay, so my costumes are far more basic.
We will upgrade you, no problem. That's
thank you. Thank you so much.
And so, younger Zatanna, we do have a lot of relationships. Yes.
Well,
and yes, Bruce Wayne is one of them. And
what's that like?
It's because he understands the darkness.
So
so we can go there with things, and he can fully trust.
Okay, because he's kind of a bossy person in my universe, and he seems highly suspicious of magic.
He is. All of the Justice League is suspicious of magic.
I mean, so is Superman, but at least he's polite about it.
True.
Yeah.
True. Yeah. But it's because Bruce Wayne is fascinated with us.
Interesting. Okay, I will make that note.
Yes, and we are very important helping the world through him. So
Right, that is also true.
that is also
So compare Bruce Wayne to Constantine as a lover specifically.
Oh, wow. I do love tortured souls, don't I?
Yes, you do. There's a theme here. Dark, tortured souls,
tortured
you know?
souls. Constantine is always just dealing around dead people. There's a lot of dead people around and a lot of demons. So the sex is great. It's fiery, intense, magical, portal opening, but there's consequences to that intensity. And I think neither one of us wants to, I guess, even just put in the effort that it requires to have that relationship. So I help him out.
Right. So why don't your relationships last? Zatanna from the future?
Because we walk a certain path, my dear, where we serve a certain purpose. And then, like a magician, and into the next.
She did make out with Batman and Robin.
She
yes!
did. Oh my God. She did. Oh, wow.
That is a good catch.
Did.
Yes.
She did.
Yes.
Yes. In all timelines. So what does that mean?
She gets around. I mean,
She's also been with the Flash too.
No, that I don't see. I
So it
can't.
was the Flash for a bit, and I think it's because the Flash was the first one to he's very important in terms of the multiverse, right?
Right, of course.
Yeah, so the first one to break the multiverse. They're calling us
Queen
Queen Deluxe.
Queen Deluxe. Oh my gosh. You guys.
Okay, we're, oh my
Okay.
God, hold on. Now let me make sure that my mic's still on.
All right. Hope you can hear us. If one of you can give us a thumbs up that you can hear us, okay? That would be amazing.
They usually tell me if the mic is not
Okay, amazing. All right. So that was our second segment. Moving on to our third segment. And this was really important for me to address, especially with you, in how you work with the Justice League. And it is around the ethics of magic, illusions, and this sense of illusions being trickery. So in my time with Young Justice, and it isn't as... it doesn't come up that often, or it hasn't come up that often with me, but Ms. Martian, who's one of my Young Justice colleagues, she is she's probably the most powerful psychic in our group. And she does something and a series of events occurs and she just deletes it from deletes the memory from a different colleague's mind. And he does eventually find out because there's just a gap in his memory, a hole in his mind, and all of us remembered things differently. And so, while that didn't happen to me, when I watched them and they were a couple and they're so cute together. And then they broke up over it for a few years because she was in his mind and then she took something that was his memory, his experience away. And I know that this is something you have to deal with a lot and you have your own view and ethics on it. So tell me, how does this work? And most importantly, how does Batman tolerate it?
Batman doesn't tolerate it.
Oh, right.
I just don't let him know about certain things. You can't. Come on.
Oh, thank you for the gift, guys.
Oh, thank you.
It's amazing.
Okay, appreciate it. Oh, yes. Hat and mustache. I don't know if the hat and mustache actually went on. It might have. It might have been because I already had a hat on. So, when they give a gift and then it shows.
Oh, yeah.
So okay, wait, hold on a second. There's a lot that you asked me there.
Yes, I did.
A lot.
Sorry.
A lot of
I'm just so
ethics.
curious so that I know what to do.
So, firstly, when I do the memory wipe, what was my rationale behind it?
So, you did, not me, but you did a memory wipe on Batman. Something had happened that you didn't want him to remember. And it was a combination of something painful and something that you had done.
I see.
And it was deleting the memory of what you had done so that I guess he wouldn't be mad at you. I may be wrong. So if someone else remembers this correctly, because this was, I read this one a long time ago.
I think actually this brings up the whole idea, you guys, we talk a lot about activating our superpowers, right? And then what does that mean once you have those gifts activated? And if one of those gifts is one of those things where you can read other people's minds, you can wipe other people's minds out, you can basically turn them into a mind slave if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
Right? So if you have that power and how do you wield it, and then you have your own moral compass in regards to what you feel is right. And so I feel like at the time, it's more than likely that I would have made a call to wipe memories because I thought that I was doing the right thing. But at the same time, I'm also doing things to serve protect myself.
Yes.
Right? So there's that as well. And it's balancing those two things and just being true to myself, which is why as you get older, you divinate more, you meditate more, you go inward more, and you spend more time providing magical intel to a lot of the more powerful superheroes in our world.
All right. So in Young Justice, in my universe, I do get accused of misusing magic in the last season.
But you're young.
Well, I'm at this point. True.
Yes.
At this point, I'm in my 20s, and I'm tired of seeing my dad only one evening a year. And so I decided to take on these apprentices who are honing their magical abilities. And I sort of become their mentor, their teacher, their trainer, and there's 3 of them. And when they reach a certain level of being able to balance and sort of hold their power, I ask them if they would be willing to share the mantle of Dr. Fate so that it does not, the burden of it doesn't fall solely on my dad. So we come up with a schedule where it's like, everyone becomes Dr. Fate, like these 3 people, myself included, become Dr. Fate for a week, a month. Okay, that way everyone else gets exactly. But there is one of my pupils, I don't think it's a good idea. She has a very difficult time controlling. She falls into excess.
Which one is this?
So this is I think she's called Black Mary. She's the Shazam. She's the like the girl's Shazam.
Mary
basically.
Marvel?
Mary, in this she's called Black Mary.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it is weird.
I love Mary Marvel. Mary Marvel and Supergirl.
I don't know anything
Mary Marvel
about her.
and Supergirl have a really close relationship.
Okay, so they introduce an angry, bitter Supergirl and Black Mary at the end of Phantoms, which is the newest one. And this is the Supergirl that was like imprisoned in the Krypton, the angry Supergirl.
Yeah, there's an angry Supergirl
with Black Mary. So basically, Black Mary feels like she's hard done by, like her mentor didn't choose her and she abandoned her, blah blah blah. Yeah. So there's a lot of emotion.
It's like the dark side of like Mary Marvel.
Okay,
because her name is literally Mary Sunshine.
Oh,
yeah. So like the crazy thing about Shazam too is like Shazam's real name is Captain Marvel. Shazam's the wizard that sits on the Rock of Eternity.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the comic book. You guys know that, right? And because of copyright, he had to change to Shazam, and Captain Marvel became Captain Marvel.
Oh, right.
Marvel.
So let's see here. 20 is YA or adult? I'm not sure what that question is.
Because I think we're talking about you being a youth and saying...
Oh, yeah, okay, I'm a youth. Right, that's actually a good question. So the span of Young Justice is from when a lot of these characters are between the ages of 13 and 23. So like season 5 ends with them in their mid-20s. And then obviously it starts with like, they're like 13 or 14 and they're so cute. They're amazing.
You know what? If I think about it, I wrote my Dragon Warriors book when I was 14. You're 14. You're like, you're still like, you're literally like coming into yourself. Your hormones are starting to kick in.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like, your power is coming to be.
Yeah. And there's a lot of like banging up against everyone around you. There's actually this really lovely line between Artemis and Robin in Young Justice. Someone's attacked their the mountain, like their place that they live and they train. And Artemis is like she's obviously a really good archer, but she's like freaking out. And Robin is obviously, he's Dick Grayson, he's the best Robin. And he's like, okay, we have to do this and we have to do this. And all the heavy hitters are captured, like Superboy is captured, Miss Martian is captured, Aqualad is captured, Kid Flash is like captured. And it's really just down to the 2 of them. And she's like, Artemis turns to Robin and she's like, how can you be so calm? And Robin looks at her and he's like, I've been doing this since I was 9. Yeah. And he has been doing this since he was 9. And Batman's crazy, like crazy in an intense
It's funny
way.
Because in the comic book I read with Batgirl, there's a couple origin stories of Batgirl too as well. But in this one, she moves to Gotham from Chicago with her dad.
Okay.
And when she's there, she meets Dick Grayson as Robin, and they go on like a couple missions together. And Dick, he makes a little quip being like, "Oh, you know, like I don't have parents, but luckily for me, I have a suitable father figure who's never around to provide that kind of, you know, like this little quip of like Batman being kind of like not a great dad necessarily.
Yeah, Artemis was good in Ready Player One.
Oh, look at this voice of one. I never knew about Black Mary.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know about
voice of one because you said a lot. He's like, I have certain people in the chat who like throw in intel when I don't know certain people. Am I Filipino? I'm half Filipino. Half Filipino.
And what's the other half?
The other half is South African. Yeah. So I totally relate to Zatanna when you think about walking two worlds and the fact that like, that's why I say I don't pronounce things properly. Neither of my parents spoke English as a first language and couldn't really understand each other.
Wow.
So let alone me.
Yeah.
So there's that. Okay, where were we?
Ethics of magic and illusions,
yes.
which I think you did cover. Was there anything else you, in your widely experienced life? I mean, what is that like with Constantine? Because
Constantine and I do a lot together when you get older.
But when you talk about, you know, control and illusions and like dead people things, do this. I imagine in Constantine's world, the consequences are not hurt, but people feel like their feelings are hurt, or you took away their power, or you're tricking them because Constantine deals with a different group of people.
We'll talk about, I love that. Have you read the Paul Dini collection?
I have not.
I haven't, but I will make a note of that. I love recommendations of comics to read. Yes, and storylines that kind of relate. So, not familiar.
Yeah, who's Donna Troy?
I don't know.
I don't know who Donna Troy is either. But, oh, you love this. Thank you so much, Olivian. Sorry, the names are in like a gray, so I can't actually read the name, but we are loving your comments. Thank you so much. It's amazing.
Okay, so
Constantine does whatever's right, as long as it goes to his moral code. Right. But he doesn't play as much with other people.
Donna Troy's Wonder Girl. Yeah, okay.
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
Yes. I love Donna Troy too.
Yeah, she's good.
Yes. Okay, morally flexible. That's a great term.
Morally flexible.
Yes. So in the comic book I read with Constantine, with Zatanna.
That's
I
to
didn't
me.
know what
I don't. Yeah, sorry.
I apologize.
Yeah,
you
our
guys.
bad. Our bad.
I like when you say Wonder Girl, I was like yes, but then I forgot because think of it this way. This is my excuse. Supergirl. Sometimes in the comics she's referred to as Linda, and sometimes she's Kara.
Why? Yeah, I've only ever known her as Kara.
Like Linda Danvers, Linda Lee, or Kara Danvers. And it's funny because Captain Marvel
is Karen Danvers. Carol
Danvers.
Carol. That is. Why do they do that? It's so annoying.
And then I also got confused with like, Ghost Rider is Johnny Blaze.
Yes.
And the Human Torch is
Johnny Flame on. Johnny Storm. Yes. Flame on. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So
yes,
it's just like all these names. I'm like, I gotta think of like a superhero name.
But like it's even like other ways. So like Batman's mom and Superman's mom are both called Martha.
Oh, true.
Right? Like it's like you couldn't
thing there.
It is a strange thing.
So many times it's being passed around between the two. So many names being passed around.
Yeah, I know,
and
right?
Also, the idea
also Marvel and Marvel are really similar. Like pick a different name.
That's a great segue into the Constantine comic that I actually read you guys. Why
Martha? Yeah, right? Crazy. Why did you say that name?
Zatanna is back. Yes, that's right. Zatanna and Zatanna. So I'm Zatanna from the future. I'm come to deliver a message to my younger self from circa Young Justice timeline, where she doesn't know yet that I have a lot of very complex relationships.
Complex. Oh my God.
Mr. Meaner would be a good superhero name. Mr. Meaner. Maybe, you know what? We should think of some, right? Because there's this concept of, I was thinking to myself, like custom characters as well, but that's a side note.
Maybe in Dragon Warriors.
Maybe in Dragon Warriors we can introduce certain things, right? But Constantine in that comic book, he comes to me using my key card, which I left him, to come in and ask questions. And I'm like, there's someone dead, isn't there? There's always someone dead when you come see me, Constantine. So, but she still gives him her intel. She's divinating. She's seeing all the future timelines. So she's providing him that intel to ensure that she cares about him, right?
Of course.
Day, right?
Yeah.
But as it goes, there's
oh my God, that is the sweetest thing. The two of you made our Friday so much better.
Oh, thank you.
Ditto. Thank you for spending your Friday evening with us.
Yeah. We do this every Friday. I've only recently been doing this on TikTok as well. We are also streaming live on Rumble.
Yes, we are.
Because we sometimes have screen shares and things like that. But
we don't always do cosplay. We talk about other things too, actually.
We do. But we I love like fictional stories, comic book archetypes are a way of speaking about energies in the cosmic time that we're in right now. A great awakening. And this whole idea of Neptune being in that degree and illusion and all of this unseen world stuff. And those of us who are conduits of that, and those of us who feel very connected to the unseen world and see ourselves as being ones who bring that to form.
Or those of us who just really love comics because it ignites something in us, or it awakens something in us. And there are ways, and I think it's cool. Zatanna is not a main character. Like, there's no movie about Zatanna, right?
We're trying to bring Zatanna, give her some light.
Yeah, I didn't even know you liked Zatanna. I mentioned, I was like, I love her in Young Justice. And she's like, Zatanna is so great. Because it's not like, it's not like Batman that every single person knows, right? Even my mom knows who Batman is. My mom does not know who Zatanna is. And so it's so lovely because like the reason you like her is very different from the reason I like her, but we both evoke magic in our lives in very different ways. Both of us are writers. Both of us use words and incantations in different ways. You are from a programming background, and having worked as a product manager, you're so much like attuned to like coding and production and like what happens. And my entire thing with like words as harmonies and as harmonics. So like Zatanna is just a part of our lives now.
It is. Yeah. and she like, I like to look at it this way. So there's a reason why I don't cosplay as everyone, right? Like different characters have resonance with me because I see myself in those characters, right? Yeah. So no different like when we did Jean Grey and Emma Frost, like you see yourself in certain characters more than others. And when you resonate with those certain characters, certain attributes are what you're going to bring to the forefront. So what I love about Zatanna too is that she has an agent. She's thanks to
Thank you so much. That's amazing.
Aw, yay. You get a magic. Hold on. Oh, yay.
I love that one.
I know, right? But yeah, just how you even how different comic book artists draw the character, right?
Yes.
So that's all all on the artist, and you being a new cosplayer. Yeah. It's your art. Like you're bringing that character to life. And so in doing that, that's like being a conduit for a character that's not real.
Exactly. I'm going to walk home tonight dressed like this. Yes. It's going to be great.
Yeah. Do some magic on the way.
100%. I actually did want to talk about this one thing when we were speaking about the ethics of magic. And earlier on, when you started the episode, you were speaking about calling out charlatans.
Oh, yes.
And so there's this little, there's a few scenes, actually. It's not a fully built arc, but I thought it was so powerful in Young Justice between Zatanna and the previous person, Kent Wilson, who was the original Dr. Fate. So the original Dr. Fate is in New Orleans and runs into someone called Madame Zandu, who is a charlatan and is like, I'm speaking to your dead wife. She is not speaking to his dead wife. He is Dr. Fate, so he fully calls her out on it. But years later, when Zatanna is like in her 20s, Superboy has died. Spoiler, Superboy has died. And in Young Justice, in Phantoms, and Zatanna feels something is off. So she's like, I want to he's dead. So I want to call upon his soul. So she goes to Madame Xanadu and it's almost like Madame Xanadu was a charlatan. She got called out on it. And then she actually realized her own abilities. So she's able to hold seance. And there is a collegial and respectful relationship.
That's a cool story.
Yeah, between Zatanna now, who is now Dr. Fate in season 5 of Young Justice, with Madame Xanadu. She cannot do everything Zatanna does, but she holds this 3-day seance and is like, I cannot contact the soul of Superboy. He is not here.
Oh, interesting.
It is interesting.
What is
if
that?
you want to know what happens, watch Young Justice, season 5, Phantoms. Also, please do not skip ahead. The intro, Young Justice's season 5 intro for Phantoms is incredible.
Oh my gosh, we got so many comments here.
Oh, what?
How in the world do you guys know so much about the comic book?
Yo, this is what we do.
Are you kidding? I live there.
Yeah. Actually, you read a lot more comics than I do. I watch more cartoons.
But you know what? I do say I love cartoons though too.
Yeah,
There's
that's
a
true.
whole I like.
Yeah.
We can do a whole episode.
We totally can. Not that it's this one, but when we did our previous Emma Frost and Jean Grey, I watched all of X-Men 97, X-Men 98, like that entire 90s X-Men, only to find that it didn't have a lot of Emma Frost. But
yeah, that
I watched all of it in 1 week, and I was taking copious notes. It was great.
X-Men reveals a lot. And you know what? The voice actors of the original X-Men series that was actually done back in the 90s was voiced in Toronto.
I did not know that.
All the voice actors. So Wolverine was actually voiced by a Canadian. That epic bub.
Yes. Yes.
Because
oh my God, he's so classic.
Speaking of animations, so I am so attached to certain dubs of things, right? So where's X-Men was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, right. It was so good. The Emma actress from the early X-Men was which I don't know who played her.
Who was she again? Do you remember? Emma Frost has been live action a couple times.
Yeah, I didn't. It was the woman from Mad Men, the wife from Mad Men.
Oh, okay.
But she's not a big role. She's not a huge role. I think she's
with Emma Frost.
They don't do enough with anyone good.
Yeah,
Silver Surfer. Zatanna's never been live action
until now.
Actually, no, maybe. Oh yeah, until now. Maybe she shouldn't be because they do some really bad live actions, man.
Actually,
Rogue is Nova Scotia government. Is in the Nova Scotia government, lol. Yeah. No, that's funny. So that was the whole bit on charlatans. Did you have anything else?
I didn't even go into my story with Constantine because it actually has something to do with Shazam /
Yeah,
Captain
tell
Marvel.
me. I don't know anything about that.
So in for whatever reason, Constantine, as you guys have said, Constantine has his own morally flexible code that he abides by, right? And so he goes, after he comes and sees me, he goes off to Captain Marvel actually, but he convinces Captain Marvel that being transformed as Captain Marvel is somehow destabilizing something in time space. And I can't remember why Constantine thinks this, but it has something to do with Constantine's if you continue to hold this power at this time, your friends and family are going to be at risk.
Okay.
I forget exactly the reason why, but he convinces Shazam / Captain Marvel to detransform. And when this happens, Constantine's like, oh my gosh, a little boy.
Right, because no one knows.
No, and then he's just like,
Billy,
that doddering old wizard trusted all of that power to a little boy. And then the little kid's like, hey, F you, man. There's a reason. And there is a reason.
There is. Billy Bastion, is that his last name?
Billy Bastion.
He is actually, even as a child, he is really smart and he sorts things that grown-ups cannot sort.
Yeah, but most kids can.
Yeah,
I think the kids are you do, think of yourself at 8. You're I was so magical
smart.
at 8. I knew how to fix the entire world. I was convinced that I could do things open portals, fly, all this stuff I thought was just possible if I could figure it out or believed in it hard enough. So that juice in a child, there's a reason why he's able to hold Captain Marvel as a magic, because Shazam's actually this wizard that sits on the Rock of Eternity. Okay. And he is and his champion is Captain Marvel.
Oh, I see. It's a champion situation.
And so he basically he's considered a guardian, right, of magic and time.
Oh my gosh,
guardian. And so going back to Constantine, he convinces him to de-transform and then tell Constantine what the magic word is so that he can be Captain Marvel to like, it's basically to be bait for this demon thing.
Oh.
Something. So Constantine's like, okay, let me be Captain Marvel.
So illusion, trickery is afoot.
Yeah, so Constantine's like, okay, Shazam! And he turns into like a Captain Marvel, but it's literally like eating him from the inside. He can't hold that energy. He's like trying to, and it's all over the place.
Also, sorry, this is a weird Shazam related question. He says the word all the time. So everyone technically knows what the word is.
I know!
So it's not that secret. If I said Shazam, wouldn't I just like...
So wait, hold on. I'm not familiar. Is there something else beyond the word? Is it the vocal? Oh wait, no. Constantine uses his vocal cords. He speaks in Billy Basson's voice.
Oh, so it is tone.
It's a tone. That's a tell, right? With the frequency.
Oh, yes. Okay, thank you for confirming that.
Yes,
right.
Yes,
okay.
right? Yes, magic. So like it's like your voice, how you intonate the voice, and the voice, it has to be Billy Basson's voice.
I see. Okay, that makes way more sense.
Yes, yeah.
Like, you're saying it in front of everyone. Like, I don't get it.
It's not a secret. So he goes Shazam, and he changes, and it's like the power is like eating him up on the inside. The demon shows up. Constantine's friends there with Billy Basson behind like this thing watching him fight, and then Billy Basson's like criticizing him, being like,
"You're not a good. You're terrible."
It's because you're an old man. Yeah. That's why you're an old man. That's why you can't hold that magic. And it's true. So after the whole incident happens, like he gives his voice back to Billy Basson, and Billy Basson's like, never contact me again.
Yeah, you suck.
This is awful.
Constantine's like literally, I find whenever Constantine works with other people, he just leaves a bitter taste in everyone else's mouth. And they're just like, unless we really need that guy, let's never contact him again.
Did you see the movie Constantine with Keanu Reeves?
Oh, yes.
It's kind of funny that he's also Neo.
He is. I actually loved So I saw it because he was Neo. I saw Constantine after Matrix. Okay. And I was like, oh my God, Neo.
He's not really comic book Constantine.
No.
But he's still a great Constantine.
He's like tormented, but nothing else is really that much similar. But I heard they're making like a shit remake.
No. Yeah. Why can't they leave things alone?
I know. And this is as bad. Shazam. He's pure child. Yeah, exactly. You know what? Yes. To that point, when you were talking about Mary Sunshine or like Black Mary and Young Justice,
like she's a Black Mary at all.
So the thing is, she's like a teenager, and she has like, I don't know, abandonment issue. I don't know what her jam is.
Because in the comic, she's Billy Baston's sister.
She's his cousin in Young Justice. Okay. So she is older.
Brother, sister. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but like there's a lot of emotional instability in her. So she kind of it's this classic thing. Like it's like the Scarlet Witch issue where it's like, oh, you're attacking my family. I will do everything in my power. I will rip worlds apart because.
Where does her power come from in that then? Because
it's still Shazam.
Oh, okay.
It's in her voice. She still has to say it. Okay. But she does this thing that I've never seen like Billy Basson, Billy Basson's Shazam do. She can pool her power into Zatanna so that when Zatanna is spellcasting, she has Shazam magic, extra juice. Aqualad does it with her as well. So like when she has to do like really massive things, which is amazing, all they do is they touch her shoulder and they're like pooling in my magic into you. She focalizes it and makes a really massive shield or can attack the Lord of Terror. Right? And it's only the kids that do this. I've never seen it in any of the adult versions. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? If there's any Young Justice, just like Steve Rogers, the way I see it. Yeah, Steve Rogers is so pure of heart.
To be worthy of power.
Exactly right.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's called Logomancy Spellcasting.
Yeah. Something like that.
Okay. I learned something new.
I know. I've learned a lot of new stuff today. Donna Troy, Logomancy. Yeah, you know exactly where it's at.
No, and I think also Zatanna was also in Doomsday Clock.
Yes, she was.
Dealing with Dr. Manhattan. And I told you guys like this idea of the reason why I love comic books so much in terms of dealing with psychic powers and magic is the way that you can illustrate it, right? So I went to the library today and got comic book Battle of the Atom because in there it shows Emma Frost's in it. And she does go up against Jean Grey in the future, but like evil Jean Grey. Like she's kind of she's not all there. And so they're fighting, right? And what was it? I forget who makes this comment, but one of the younger X-Men goes like, what are they doing? They're just standing there.
Yeah, I love that. I listen.
But then you can see on the illustration on the higher realm, you can see them literally like fighting, like their etheric selves are fighting very hard. And then like Cyclops is like, well, to you, they're just standing there, but they're really punching each other very hard in the brain right now.
Yeah, so, exactly right.
This idea of like how to illustrate, how to show things that are just like, like our higher selves are like hovering above us right now, let's say, but like it's not like you see that, or rather that's just a way of modeling what that looks like rather than what
I like this with the like idea of like like spiritual battles, right? Like we're all here on TikTok, but our etheric selves, there maybe is like maybe we're battling our past, our narratives, our parents or societies,
or thoughts that aren't yours,
or thoughts
or
that are ours
that aren't yours.
Yeah,
either.
exactly. And it's not always a war, but or maybe like we're sorting something else, like when Doctor Strange learns things in his sleep. Like maybe your etheric self is like I like to think that my etheric self is just sort of catching up on the Hermetic principles because I'm super into these. Like this is all I do. I watch comics and I read Hermetic principles.
This is also a great segue into Promethea.
Oh yeah,
because in book, I know you've got book one.
We are not doing Promethea because of me. I have not finished the book.
I don't think Promethea.
Oh, thank you, King Pappy. Thank you.
King Pappy's great. He's going to be sending some comic books over once I actually figure out my whole peel box situation.
Oh yes.
And I'm switching. Oh, thank you.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the gifts. And I'm trying to get everyone in on cosplaying so that we can do like collabs and everyone's cosplaying. Right? It'll be round table comic book reads for all the characters, right? yeah, exactly. But where was I going with this? Magic and Doomsday Clock and Zatanna.
Dr. Manhattan.
Yes, because I love Dr. Manhattan as a character. He's actually in my top of like I fully think that like my husband is like Dr. Manhattan. He's a Dr. Manhattan archetype, and I think all air signs have an element of Dr. Manhattanness in them because of this idea of seeing multiple possibilities constantly all the time. And so this level of like, where are you right now? Where in time are you? Where what universe are you in right now? And
her husband and I get on. We're both air signs.
I love my air signs around me, but I'm a Taurus, right? So I just like listen, but wait. How about now?
Dr. Manhattan is from the Watchmen comics, but you are speaking about the Doomsday Clock?
Oh, yes. Yeah. And so Doomsday Clock is a crossover event between the DC universe and the Watchmen universe.
Yes.
So Dr. Manhattan, because he's this omniscient, omnipotent, I learned about omnipotent last time.
Omnipotent, yes.
Yes. And I'm like, omniscient, omnipotent, so all-powerful, all-knowing being. And so he becomes aware of the DC universe, and he's very interested in it. So he starts to conduct these experiments.
Classic Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, and then it messes a bunch of people up. And of course, Ozzy is there, and he's basically...
Yeah, they're not afraid to do crossovers. It is actually quite good.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good one. And in there's a prophecy too, for about 2025.
What's the prophecy? Can you share?
I will share after I go into the magic part, because Dr. Manhattan, he's very intrigued with Superman. Because in the Watchmen universe, it's very nihilistic, right? It's a universe that doesn't have like a lot of hope. Right?
Yeah,
it's a lot of.
Sorry, there's a comment there on The Watchmen is a comic book that Alan Moore wrote, and the premise, I'm just going to give the premise is...
For all those not familiar.
If you're not familiar, there is a nuclear power plant accident, and a person dematerializes, and a physicist dematerializes and then materializes as this blue being called Dr. Manhattan, who is omnipotent, omniscient, omna, many, many things. And because of that, America wins the Vietnam War.
Yes, that's true.
And the American dream comes true. And then American society kind of slowly starts to degenerate. It is kind of like this hopeless kind of vibe. It's in the 70s. So you have Dr. 80s, sorry.
Yeah.
So you have Dr. Manhattan.
We are babies of the 80s.
Yes, exactly. So there's Dr. Manhattan, and then there's everyone else, like all these other people who are masked vigilantes. None of them have powers. They're just like fit, strong people who want to do good. And then it's like society's against them. There is like, like the hippie movement on like who watches the Watchmen. And this group of people, the vigilantes, are called the Watchmen.
Yes, that's right.
So that's just kind of the history. It is like they made a decent movie on it. Zack Snyder. I thought it was good.
I feel like I liked it too, but a lot of people there's a
Oh,
lot
I'm
of,
sure. Alan Moore. So
yeah,
a lot of
Moore,
people
like was just like, oh, I just like, but,
yeah,
But I
exactly.
thought they did all right.
They did
what
considering.
they were considering things,
Yeah.
right? Like,
It's a dense read. So just
I do
just so
own
you
that
know.
entire comic book too as well. So
I
that's
did
worth-
for a long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I will do a read once Silk Scepter comes in.
Oh, we should do Silk Spectres. The in plural.
Because I love her mom. So we could actually do a mom
Jupiter,
daughter,
Sally Jupiter.
Sally
Yes,
Jupiter situation.
that's true.
But going back to that
Yes,
storyline, in it, Dr. Manhattan is then like the villain, and he has a lot of great lines in there about like being aware of being in the comic book, which is what like
exactly.
like Deadpool.
Deadpool's saying,
yeah. So this
but
this
less
concept,
funny.
and I do feel like lots of this less funny, totally less humor, less humor. But he is aware of like all of the timelines happening at once, and so when he deals with magic users, he becomes a villain. So he's basically like, "Oh, I'm the villain in this storyline right now."
Yeah,
because of what I'm doing right.
I love that switching archetype thing because like he's not a hero of the Watchmen either.
No.
He's like there, and then he's like, oh, like it's he transcends archetypes in a sense.
Yeah. So I feel like it's kind of like this idea: if you have all that power and all that knowledge and all that kind of stuff, it's not like you necessarily go out and like do anything.
Yeah,
You're kind of like you almost become an observer and are like aware of like everything's always happening at once, and so like. But he deals with the magic users, and he's kind of very condescending to them. Like they come
and
at
it must
him,
be child's play. Even Zatanna.
Zatanna like throws stuff at him. She says stuff backwards. I'm not going to try to say freeze backwards. What would freeze backwards be?
Is if.
Oh.
I have listen. You have no idea how many backwards words I've been watching, guys.
Yes, that was hot. Oh my gosh.
Homemade theater. Yes, it is a homemade theater.
It's true. Yes,
this isn't CGI. This is real.
Because no, this is no green screen.
Yeah.
This is real magic, my friends. And so because I am aware of the movie Magic.
Rachel is the producer and the designer and all of that.
Yes,
Thank you.
So maybe in the future we'll actually have a magic show. We'll do like magic tricks.
Yeah,
exactly. We can do something like that. But going back to Doomsday Clock, so I can actually say what I need to say about it, is that Dr. Manhattan basically takes their magic and he's like, oh, it feels so good to learn. And he basically like learns all their spells that they're doing at him and then just like throws it back at them. And they're like, oh, frick. But in the end, Dr. Manhattan realizes that the reason why the DC universe is the way it is and Superman is who he is because he had a loving family and a father.
Yeah.
And so Dr. Manhattan, even in his like non-Dr. Manhattan self, like his Don Osterman self.
Yes.
Growing up with a father. He had a father who was very hard on him, very strict on him, influenced him in a different way than Superman did. And so he realizes what it takes to have a Superman is a loving father. And so he ends up adopting a child to bring back to the Watchmen universe to become a Superman.
Dr. Manhattan does?
Yes.
The least loving person in the world?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And it ends with this child showing up at this, I forget, it's, oh my gosh. What's her name? Saturn Girl.
Oh,
Saturn
yeah.
Girl, and
I like Saturn Girl.
I like Saturn Girl too. Saturn Girl deals with like Supergirl in the future. This is the verification. Make sure I'm not a bot.
Oh my. Okay.
Not a
not a bot.
No.
From Watchmen,
yeah, because there's a crossover comic right between the DC universe.
Hi, Nikki.
Hi. The DC universe and the Watchmen universe, and then Zatanna's in there with the rest of her magical friends to try to stop Dr. Manhattan.
Right? Her contacts are so cool.
Yeah, yes. They're my spice eyes, my Dune eyes. So whenever I'm doing magic stuff.
Oh, Dune was one other thing we wanted to do.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, because you liked Shawnee, right?
Well, Jessica's amazing.
I mean, Jessica is amazing.
Yeah, but
we can both be Reverend Mothers. Creepy, weird Reverend Mothers. Right? It is wicked. Was Dr. Manhattan stopped? I think he realizes things,
what
right?
ends up happening is there's a conflict and, Dr. Manhattan says something really ominous where he can't see a certain point in time past the future. Yeah. And he goes like, either I destroy Superman or Superman destroys everything. I forget the line. It's supposed to be like the end of all time.
Yeah, exactly.
And then so what ends up happening is Superman looks like he's about to punch Dr. Manhattan, but he ends up punching someone behind him because people think that Dr. Manhattan's like the villain. And so Dr. Manhattan has to resolve the fact that someone he's fighting wants to save him.
Right.
And so he's like,
that does not compute.
He's like, what is going on here? And like, why would a being do that for me? And then that causes this whole massive cascade of like thoughts. And then he goes back and like fixes everything.
I mean, that isn't too dissimilar from his arc in The Watchmen where...
Agreed. Massive cascade of like thoughts, and then he goes back and like fixes everything.
I mean, that isn't too dissimilar from his arc in The Watchmen where...
Agreed. Massive cascade of like thoughts, and then he goes back and like fixes everything.
I mean, that isn't too dissimilar from his arc in The Watchmen where...
Agreed.
Struggling with ethics, or like someone died because of you and you think you made a mistake. Other supers or other metahumans, as they're called in Young Justice.
In DC.
In DC, they're called
DC universe, because superheroes copywritten by Marvel.
That is insane.
You can't say superhero.
We can't that. That is a dumb thing. Like, anyway,
copyright and copywriting words, that's a whole other like weaponry thing.
I know.
It
like totally is.
There's something weird there with that.
Yeah, this is like Wotan sorcery or something bizarre like that. Speaking of words, I learned to spell.
Oh, yes?
Yeah, but are we close to closing today's show?
Actually, let's see. Do you guys have any questions about Zatanna before we wrap up this show?
Oh, let's smile. Or should I do my spell that I've been learning?
So she's been learning to speak backwards. Oh,
no questions.
No questions. Thank you so much. So, Zatanna, this version of Zatanna, will be back on Sunday night. We're going to be I do Sunday night scary stories.
Oh, yes. I didn't know that.
And so we're going to revisit Constantine briefly. I can't show all the panels because a lot of them are really graphic. And I was like, I can't show this.
They want to hear the spell.
I want to hear the spell.
No, finish.
But the spell is like to close everything,
yeah,
right?
So
then it'll be like goodbye.
Yeah.
So just so you guys know, we're gonna make ourselves disappear.
Okay, it's not that powerful.
No,
I'm still a child here.
So are we gonna be back next week?
Yes, but. We have to talk about that. We will not be in person.
No, we won't.
We'll be online. Yeah, sorry. But we'll have something great and fun.
We'll think of something. But we are live every Friday.
We are live every Friday. On Rumble.
Yes. And sometimes on TikTok if we are in person.
Exactly.
Because this is cosplay, that's why I had her on as my lovely guest. Just because it's about, I think all of us.
Of course, we've watched Interview with the Vampire several times, bro. I can quote that movie.
Gosh, we need to talk about that too.
Oh my God, we need a whole I've also read all of the books of the Anne Rice series, so yeah.
Having cool lives.
Oh yes, amen to that. Rachel Z has the coolest lives.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I will have you on live again.
Yes.
We will bring back Zatanna. I'm gonna get my hubby to play as Constantine.
Oh my God.
Because I feel like that might be a fun little thing to talk about. We can get other magic people maybe to cosplay too, can do a fun
exactly.
And next week we'll figure out what we're going to be talking about, but it will be virtually. So make sure you give us a follow on Rumble, and you can catch that live there. And if we have a presentation, you'll be able to see that as well.
Exactly. We also have replays on Spotify, so you can follow us on Today's Harmonics. And of course, you can, I know it's a bit old school now, but you can email us.
Yes. And we will take requests. Right? So it's today. Oh, you do the email thing.
Oh, yeah. It's todaysharmonics@gmail.com. Today's Harmonics with an S @gmail.com. So, yeah, as Rachel was saying, we take requests. If you think you want, like, if you have a favorite character that you love, we'd love to hear what it is and I guess go shopping for the costumes.
Well, I'm learning to sew a little bit more.
Yes,
right? So we can put some more custom stuff. And as you level up in your cosplay abilities, I'm sure that you'll come up with other imaginative ways to express the characters. I think that's all coming down the pipeline, guys. I don't know what awakening looks like necessarily in the 3D realm, but we're in that moment. And I think comic books and stories and these characters that we have resonance with are really how we're able to like sift through all of it, figure things out, and like find the courage to like be who that is.
Yeah, and you know what? I am new to cosplay, but like the whole the outfits and things like that are super interesting to me. So this corset that I'm wearing is actually from this lovely shop on, so we live in Toronto.
Yes.
It's in this lovely shop on Dundas.
Winnipeg. Yeah, so Winnipeg. I'm from Winnipeg's my hometown. So like shout out Winnipeg. But we're in Toronto.
We do live in Toronto.
Yes.
So I just wanted to give a shout out to tell them it's vintage. This is a lovely corset from this vintage shop at Dundas and Ossington in Toronto. And it's so interesting, right? Because for me, a lot of my inner work around superheroes is buying little pieces that I can actually wear in my normal life. So instead of like as awesome as X-Men 97, 98 is, those costumes it's not something I'm going to wear and go to a grocery store.
I mean, yeah, like Jean Grey.
I'm not Jean Grey, right? That being said, I think I bought this for not Emma. I think I was looking for this for Emma Frost, but I bought this for Sailor Pluto, which was last week's episode and last week's live.
Catch that if you missed it.
Yeah, totally. Replays on Spotify. But like now I just wear this. Right? Like now it's just a thing.
You know what? It's so.
And sorry, can I just say one thing? And I feel like it's kind of like infused with like the time space portal powers of Sailor Pluto, and now Zatanna, the sorceress from Young Justice.
Oh my gosh!
And like this is interesting because if I wear this, I don't know, out somewhere else at like a fancy something, I'm gonna like have that as I'm being strapped in and like buckled into this corset. Yeah, you love it. Isn't that amazing? And that is like. It's almost like you're taking these like idealistic superheroes and you're like, this is me. It is here. I'm wearing it. And when you're done, it can return to your cupboard.
It's like the suit up sequence.
And
you're putting on like suiting on, like, and then like in yours like puts you into the corset and like into and then also it's also part of like your arsenal of you as a creator being of that, and just this is part of your superhero outfit, as you too, right? Which is, as you said, I love what you said about infusing certain items with the like imprints of the energies that played in
our
before.
So I'm an energy worker, and our clothes and our homes and our office spaces and our cars, they carry a lot of energy. Like I don't know if this is, I mean, I don't sit in a lot of people's cars, but when I do once in a while, you can tell when people pour in a lot of anger from road rage or anything else. It's not a judgment, but you can feel it in the car. Like you can feel like they're almost like very subtly driving like this, right? And then if that's true, then the opposite is also true. Yeah. And like clothes make us feel whatever. Maybe they make us feel good. Maybe they make us feel ashamed. Maybe they make us, whatever. So like in choosing certain pieces, like I live in Toronto. I don't normally walk around in a corset, but now I do.
Now you do.
Because like I have this and it's amazing.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it has this lovely brocade.
In and of itself, clothing is a work of art as well. And a big part of superheroes is when Spider-Man is sewing his costume and stuff, right?
That remains so sweet.
So it's just like all of these items are infused with magical properties themselves because you are wearing them. And that is the interfacing of you with the item that you see and then putting it on, wearing it, and then it's now it's to
the tune of Young Justice. Yeah, I mean, I really like the Iron Man of Robert Downey Jr. I know it's very dated now, but the scene where the suit is being put on him for the first time.
Yes, I love that.
Chills even today.
Yes.
And when he's out of
sequence.
And it's like a much slower kind of mechanical, but there's still magic for me because it's the magic of engineering. Right? So like it applies to the mechanism as well. A ritual of expression, exactly.
To manifest the person you want to be.
Oh, Wandering Wizard. I'm so into that. I'm so into that.
Oh my gosh,
you guys are amazing.
I just got chills like reading that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So I think that covers everything.
That does.
This Zatanna and Zatanna show.
Thank you for joining our magic show.
First time, but we'll be back.
I
think Z and Z.
Well, we have so many other. Our list of characters we want to do is very long. I keep adding to it every week. Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, because what was the other one?
Black Canary and Batgirl.
Oh my gosh,
that is long overdue. We need to do that.
Yeah, Black Canary, Batgirl. There was
Black
another
Canary.
one too. Promethea and Promethea as well.
And Promethea would be a good one. Yeah. The characters from Dune. I also really, because I don't know too much about She-Ra, but I wanted to do a Tila and She-Ra from He-Man Masters of the Universe. So
I'll be 80s version of She-Ra. I don't really.
Okay.
I have a really big problem with the new version of She-Ra. So yeah,
Sad I missed it. Oh, you didn't miss it. We have replays on Spotify and on Rumble.
Yes.
Just find us, Today's Harmonics.
I'm on much earlier than I usually am, you guys. I know I'm usually on at like the wee hours of the night, and I will be back.
When do you sleep? I sleep, man.
I have naps. Now that I don't work at the, I know I work at the corporate world.
Yeah, I do work in the corporate world, so I fully sleep.
Yeah. So you still have a schedule.
Yeah,
I have my schedule's all over the place now.
Right,
so
that's fair.
I've scheduled in my times to like be up late. Right,
you're part of Batman Inc. I feel like Batman and the entire Batman Inc. does not sleep. Like Barbara Gordon is up at odd hours.
It's a night shift, Even playing Gotham Knights, it's cute though. Gotham Knights that they sent. She gets little emails from like Diana Prince and stuff. Prince, not Diana. Diana Prince. Wait, is it Prince? What's her last name?
What are you talking about?
Black Canary's real name
is Dinah Lance. Dinah Laura Lance.
I was like calling her Prince
because
Diana Prince is
Wonder Woman.
Oh
yes.
My goodness.
Why are their names so similar? Like people have different names. People.
I know,
God.
So close. Okay, good. So I think that we're now at the end of our show. Thank you for joining us as Zatanna and Zatanna.
And can I do my spell now?
Oh yes, it's time for the spell, you guys. Oh.
Okay, I'm gonna just have it here so that I don't mess it up. Okay, may I borrow that?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay,
definitely.
Kyutsen ni inut. Tune in next week.
I love that. Yeah. And now you must.
Because
you're under
spell
the
is cast. You guys have been a tremendous audience. Thank you so much for your participation and for telling us things that we didn't know and for all of your hearts and your gifts. Yeah. We love comics and we love that you love them as much as us.
Oh my gosh, yes. And stay tuned for more as we bring our beloved characters to life and just bring a lot more magic into the universe.
Indeed.
Oh yes.
Peace be with you and with you.
Oh yes, peace with you guys too. And I hope that yes.
Oh my God, you did a spell too. Have a good one. Yes, thank you. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, you guys are the best. I love you guys so much. And so I will leave you with what I always leave you guys, which is that to have the courage to be the superhero that you are meant to play in this life, in this game of life, because the universe is counting on you. But no worries, we got your back. Bye guys.